Good morning to all of you. First of all, thank you to Bioni family for inviting me all the way from India. In a list of participants, I am written as a one from France, but you can see me. I'm from India. So, also would like to congratulate Politecnico di Milano for 150 years of anniversary, and also congratulate European Union for making a very adventurous, courageous, and forward-looking policies on ozone-friendly and climate-friendly technologies. I think it is a very, very, what is called as forerunner initiatives in a policy making in the world, which I'm sure the world is going to emulate. I was slightly confused whether I was supposed to react to the three great comments which are made in the introductory speech, or I should give a presentation for which I was listed. But I think I understand that I'm supposed to give a presentation on the thing. So I don't know whether I will be touching on any of the things which you talked about, but let's see. How much time I have? 10 minutes, Mr. Chairman? How much time I have?
Oh, 12 minutes, you have a full time for it.
Okay, I have full day. I'm so happy about it.
You didn't have time yesterday, so
Okay.
you have full time today.
Yeah. So here I'm going to make a very provocative presentation. Up till now, in this particular forum, I was coming as a UNEP director. I was in charge of the Ozone Action Program of helping the 146 developing countries to build their capacity to enable them to comply with the Montreal Protocol. Today I am not in UNEP. And this is the first time in this particular forum where I am addressing without being in UNEP. So you can see me happy. At the same time, you probably will get what is called as a riverside or ringside view of what is actually happening. And I feel that since I left, not because I left, but since I left, I have been seeing pretty sobering, disturbing, disappointing, but well, sometimes encouraging trends in a phase out of HCFCs. And I start reflecting on my 20 years of UNEP, where we had a so-called success of Montreal Protocol, which is true. But I feel that now whether the world community is doing a hollow or hollow fight for climate. And that is also the HFC, as you say, a hollow or hollow fight for climate. When, before 2010, you Google HFCs, and you will get hydrofluorocarbons. Today, you just now Google HFC, and what you get is Hollywood Fighters Club. You also get sometimes high fructose corn. But then you go down the line, probably you have to go to the second page, third page, and you get HFCs. This don't seem to be making any difference because they are there everywhere. There is nothing to write about it. The whole developed countries, 34 of them, succeeded in eliminating HCFCs. Congratulations to them. But all of them invariably, majority-wise, employed HFCs in getting rid of HCFCs. Whether it is mobile air conditioning, whether it is a room air conditioning, maybe some of them in a commercial refrigeration. And we see that that particular trend is followed rightly, respectfully, or wrongly by the developing countries. And remember, HFC 410 GWP is higher than HCFC 22, which is getting phased out. So what more could be damaging to the Montreal Protocol's reputation of a successful protocol than this particular phenomenon? I don't want to belittle the progress already made by a number of companies which are present here, but I would like to give what is called as a ringside view of what is happening in the fight there, which I find up till now is pretty hollow. Montreal Protocol is being talked about a treaty to protect the ozone layer. The Nobel Prize winner, Mario Molina, has gone in the record in his 2009 article in the Nature magazine, which says the Montreal Protocol is the most successful climate treaty. It's no longer an ozone treaty. The ozone job is over. What we need to do is now to protect the climate by whatever is left in Montreal Protocol and what is not yet started in a Kyoto Protocol or a climate change issues. We all heard by about 2008, 2009, when a phase out of CFCs was getting completed, that the Montreal Protocol has bailed out, which is a term which I think most of us in North America and in Europe know it, has bailed out the climate change issue. Because we had a tremendous carbon deficit. We had not only the financial crisis, which started in 2007 end or 2008 beginning, but we also had what is called as a F-gas crisis. And that crisis was sort of bailed out by the Montreal Protocol. We all know by this time that by phasing out CFCs, the Montreal Protocol has succeeded in reducing the emissions of about 130 gigatons of equivalent of carbon dioxide from 1990 onwards, which comes to about 11 gigatons per year. And today, our gigatons emissions of equivalent of carbon dioxide is reaching about more than 45 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent. So imagine about 11 gigatons per year of that was taken care by the Montreal Protocol CFCs and other ozone depleting substances, which in any case were not part of the Kyoto Protocol basket. Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, use okay. Use the mouse.
Okay, mouse is better. The volumes have been written about lessons on Montreal Protocol. I don't want to repeat them here. They're about how industries acted together, how the governments came together, how the science led the policies, and how the science became a common language for the world to come together to find the global solutions. And how the monitoring of the whole issue of Montreal Protocol was an excellent, effective instrument to make sure that we get rid of CFCs. For me, there were three lessons as I stand here today to get a ringside view of the Montreal Protocol. The lesson number one, complacency results in talks with little action. I'm talking about continued trend of the Montreal Protocol to contribute to the climate benefits, which is coming to the halt. More data gets generated about the past than future. We talk a lot about how ozone and CFC is getting eliminated, but we talk very little about how we can contribute to the climate benefits of Montreal Protocol and taking action on that. And the policy makers, well, I think European Union is excluded from this lesson, but the policy makers breed success by less success. Because I think except for European Union's progressive policies, I don't see any other government, and I'm going to mention about China very soon, which I find is quite an encouraging development. But we are not seeing any other governments setting up the policies which lead us to getting the climate benefit. The Montreal Protocol article very clearly says and encourages all the governments and the industries to take the maximum climate benefit by getting rid of HCFCs. But very few of governments are acting on it. So this is what we see today. We did save that lady which you see, which you don't see. You see only the other part of it. But we pushed her in another fire. And are we going to save her fully? Probably the time will say. The story of Montreal Protocol, if you want to talk about in a chemistry language, is bringing down 4 ppb of chlorine loading in atmosphere to 2 ppb parts per billion, and we are almost succeeded in that. And in the carbon dioxide concentration in chemistry of Kyoto Protocol, that we had to bring down from 380 ppm to 280 ppm, which was a pre-industrial level, but we are now heading for 450 ppm. And probably we are all looking at the Montreal Protocol to see whether it can contribute to this trend, which is going up and up in a carbon dioxide emissions to 450 ppm. And we don't seem to be getting there at all, because what we have been seeing is that somewhere on the line, if you look at the Kyoto Protocol, if you have studied it well, it says that the objective of Kyoto Protocol is to stabilize the anthropogenic carbon dioxide emissions at certain level. It doesn't mention that level, but it does mention that at 1990 level, which was around 280 to 380 ppm. Somewhere on the line, because we talked a lot and did not walk that talk, we are now saying that, okay, our objective in a Kyoto Protocol is to keep the temperature rise to 2 degrees centigrade. Well, many people will say, oh, the discussions went on, we had a Cancun meeting, we had a Durban meeting, we had a Doha meeting, and then we came to the decision that Kyoto Protocols, or the henceforth, the climate change treaty, would have an objective of limiting the temperature to 2 degrees centigrade. We all forgetting that we wanted to stabilize the carbon dioxide emissions. And this is what exactly United Nations Environment Program is doing by producing what is called as the emission gap results. And the third emission gap report which has come out is extremely disappointing. And if you look at the preface of UNEP's executive director, the Under Secretary General of United Nations, in that preface he starts with the word saying that the emission scenario is sobering, disappointing, and the emission gap of what the world desires and what is actually happening is just increasing like a gulf. Today, even if whatever the pledges have been taken as per the Durban or as per the Copenhagen meeting, those emission ambitions or the emission commitment is taken into account, still the world is missing 8 gigatons of carbon dioxide emissions. We are nowhere reaching the 2 degrees centigrade temperature. Forget about stabilizing the carbon dioxide emissions. And in that respect, we have been seeing here that HFCs, with a global warming potential of more than 1,500 times that of carbon dioxide, is also increasing without any halt. We, of course, are talking about non-HFC technologies here. And I think it's a good trend. But the point is, we need to get a speed into it. And that speed is very important because the climate change has a time limit that we have to do by a certain time, by 2020, by 2030. Otherwise, the investments made today in a fossil fuel technology or investments made today in HFC technologies are going to fructify, and we are going to lose this opportunity altogether to get into the non-HFC world. However hard we are going to try on a phase down of HFCs under the Montreal Protocol or under the Kyoto Protocol. Well, these are some of the trends. And if you see the red things, which is HFC scenarios, the high GWP is a thick line of red. The dotted lines are slightly lower and then slightly lower. But if you go for extremely low HFCs, that is a green line. And we have to see whether in some of the growing technologies of room air conditionings or the commercial refrigeration or even a domestic refrigerator where we have phased out, but we have phased out with 50% of domestic refrigerator with HFC 134A. Even if we know that hydrocarbons are the best suited for domestic refrigerator because it gives the energy efficiency which was in 1990, let's say about 100, today it is only about 40. That energy consumption in domestic refrigerator has come down because of the hydrocarbon use, and in spite of that, the 50% of domestic refrigerator today in the world being produced are still HFC 134A. So that gives to sort of a provocative thinking whether the world is really serious about getting rid of HFCs. where we have seen that in the domestic refrigerator, we have an excellent technology of using propane or using butane. And we know that its energy efficiency has come down by by nearly 40 to 50%. Still, we believe in HFCs. Well, this is a trend probably you have seen. It compares how the fossil fuel as compared to the HFCs as it stands today. But we have seen yesterday that the percentage of HFCs contribution to the climate change will keep on increasing. And this shows that by 2100, if the business continues as usual, we will have that dotted lines for the radioactive forcing, which is coming only due to the HFCs, provided some actions are taken on carbon dioxide emission reduction through the energy efficiency or by buildings and by transport. So the reputation of the Montreal Protocol is at stake. Whatever we are talking about, great things about the Montreal Protocol, that reputation is at stake. Without immediate action to address these challenges and to strengthen the treaty, the Montreal Protocol is in danger of becoming a liability to the global commons. That is a bit saddening news when we are celebrating the success of Montreal Protocol. But this exactly is the situation. The business as usual could result in a Montreal Protocol being responsible for the emission of 130 to 190 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent. This is said by welders in a Nature magazine, which is published in 2009. Well, we all talked about 110 gigatons is reduced due to the CFC reduction. But if now the HFC emissions or HFC technologies continue, all that will be wiped out. All that success of climate change, climate benefits will be wiped out. And if we consider the reduced energy efficiency due to use of high GWP or low GWP alternatives, then this particular carbon dioxide equivalent emissions will be much, much higher. So the Montreal Protocol will no longer be a successful ozone treaty. And as Mario Molina says, unlike what he says, or in contrary to whatever he says, it will no longer be a successful contributor to the climate treaty as well. Today, a lot of things is being done. I mean, many of you must be thinking that I am harsh on your a hard effect that, or hard work that you are doing. But I would like to say that more needs to be done and the industry has a potential. Industry has a potential. We have seen in the last 20 years that it succeeded in getting rid of CFCs right in time. So I don't understand why we cannot get rid of HFCs right in time. So I think the speed is important, and one of the reasons, one of the contributors to increasing the speed is the cooperation. And though we have 14 new refrigerants which are being claimed by the TAP and TOC over the last 1 year, 14 new refrigerants, most of them are blend, are being considered are being taken up by the last 1 year. 40 are under testing and 32 yet to get designation, which have been in the previous things. So it looks to be industry is making a progress. But the point is there a speed? And I feel that the challenges are threat are from banks, because the more and more delay you have, more and more HFCs will get into the banks. And in 2005, when I was a part of the IPCC report, one of the leading authors, we estimated 21 gigatons of HFCs, HCFCs and CFCs in a banks. And the HFC bank of that is continued to increase because we are delaying non-HFC things. The market imperatives, some of the North American market is not putting up the right kind of policies. So the exports from China continue to be HFC related issues. And the China factor is important because 90% of the production of room air conditioner is from HCFC, from HFCs. The green economy are we missing the opportunity? We have the global cooperation on a system development. And I think we need to do that. I think the refrigerant manufacturers are focused on developed countries. But the system manufacturers could be in the developing countries, which can cooperate to improve the energy efficiency of that. The new business opportunities and the employment can go up if at all we focus on energy efficiency. And the springboard is the financing the energy efficiency, which is the good thing which is happening now. This is a domestic refrigerator energy efficiency improvement graph we saw, and this is what the cooperation talks about, how the speed and the finances can reduce if the cooperation exists. So thank you very much for this, listening to me.
Thank you very much for your presentation.